With the millions.
It's that world heavyweight flow. Championship belt wrapped around my waist, yo. I got that Ric Flair figure flow. Slam you on the pavement, that's why they call me Street Pro. Create heat on beat flow. Like Jordan after the second time he three-peated, folks. Get ready, set, let's go. Fight toe to toe, release the flow created by this mic pro. Lights, camera, get low. Action packed, back to back. In fact, this monster will grow. Y'all better let him know. Man with the master plan, and you have no need to know. You came prepared, now get ready for the show.
Sports Professor.
Yo, what up? What up, friends? We are back with another edition of The Professor's Semanalmente. And I am your host, as always, Omar, the Professor Fonseca, and I thank you, as always, for tuning in. Yes, usually I come to you on Mondays, but since I've been moving and grooving for my birthday month, it was 2 weeks, and I'm kind of partied out now, but it was an amazing 2 weeks. Got to come and travel a lot of places. Memphis, came home to see friends, DMV, went out to Costa Rica with all the beautiful beaches, ladies, and food. And it's just been an amazing time. We had Clubber D's birthday this past weekend, which was just another amazing weekend of festivities. So it's been a long 2 weeks of the birthday festivities, but a good 2 weeks to include this past weekend. So anyways, that's why I'm coming in on a Tuesday instead of a Monday. It was such a good weekend. Needed an extra day of recovery and preparation because on Thursday, I am going to the homeland of Puerto Rico. Wepa. Yes. Going to Puerto Rico on Thursday to see all of La Familia, including mi abuela, who watches the show. Shout out to her. She's probably watching right now. All my other grandmother, all my uncles, aunts, all that good stuff. Going to go see them this Thursday for the next 10 days. So that'll be amazing anyway. So I've just been traveling the past few months, trying to make as much as possible of those life experiences. Catch me if you can, Leonardo DiCaprio style. You feel me? All right. Well, before we get started, as always, please, if you are watching, hit that like button. It is free to you, but I tell you, it is invaluable to me and us here at the network. It helps us all out. Once you hit that like button, whatever, a laugh, a heart, give me whatever you want. A love, live, laugh, decor photo. You know what I mean? You do that, it helps us out in the algorithm. YouTube boost it up, and we will be seen by other people who need this great content in their lives as well. If you are watching on any of the different channels, Let's Talk Sports, Ball and Buds, the bottom line, if you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on Instagram, if you're watching on Twitch right now, all the different channels, please make sure you subscribe at Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS on YouTube is the most important, but we're everywhere. There's a handy QR code up top. It'll take you right there if you scan it to all our socials, or you can just go to link tree, and that's a dot in between the TR and the double E at Ball and Buds. All right, let's kick this bad boy off. Yes, another week. First of all, we're going to start with sports today. A lot of good sports going on, and then we will get into our U.S. news. A lot of stuff going on with the President Donald Trump's administration this week. You know, we always like to update you on what's happening within, the United States of America and what kind, and wow, a lot of news going on, y'all. And then the world news, you're going to want to hear what's happening with Israel and Hamas. Did the Gaza Strip war start off again? I will give you that answer here in a little bit. But first, y'all, one thing that President Donald Trump did yesterday in his executive actions or orders that he signed, one of them, which I am actually, very appreciative that was signed as an executive order, makes May Mental Health Awareness Month. And so for anyone out there, suffering through a mental health illness, whether it's anxiety, depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, whatever, what have you, First of all, I want you to know you are loved. You are loved by your family. You are loved by your friends. And you are loved by many people that you don't even know you're loved by. I also want you to know that if you do need any help or you are suffering from any episodes from your illness, you can easily text 988 to reach the suicide prevention hotline, open 24 hours a day. People, operators on standby to take your text messages and your calls. Obviously, text the easiest way to get there. But you can also dial 988 if you need. I'm glad they made that so easy for people to be able to access, because mental health is a big problem in this world, y'all. And especially here in the United States, it seems to be exacerbated throughout the decades. Maybe because we have so much of a melting pot and things we have to deal with different people that, it maybe brings up a little more of the tensions and the emotions and what have you. But either way, the whole point of that was just to say that we will celebrate the help that people are getting that they need. And remember, if you ever need help, please get it. You are loved, and we need you in this world. So salute to May being Mental Health Awareness Month. All right. Moving on into sports. Yes, it was a busy sports weekend. And so what did we have? First of all, we're going to start you off with the NBA and the NHL playoffs and get you all caught up on all of that. Oh, and I also forgot to say later in the episode, we will be talking about our entertainment portion of the show. And as you can see, we'll be talking about the Met Gala, but more importantly, we will be talking about Sean Diddy Combs' jury selection that has started this week. All right. So before we get into the actual sports portion, though, I do want to say that last week on Thursday, whoever watched, we had a live stream for the huge Fatal Fury boxing weekend that happened this past weekend. And while the fights were somewhat dull, I do want to thank everyone who tuned in. It was our biggest stream ever, over 3,600 live views, over 5 YouTubes and 5 Facebooks. Amazing. We are so humbled, and thank you. And we ask you to come out again tomorrow night. The panel is getting back together. The boxing crew is getting back together to do a review of Fatal Fury tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you're tuned in at Ball and Buds. But anyway, so what happened this weekend? We'll go into it more tomorrow, but I do want to just give you the results of the past weekend. In a couple upsets, so to say, Rolando Romero, first of all, upset Ryan Garcia. I mean, as much as people were thinking that Ryan Garcia was going to cakewalk over Romero, I definitely thought he had more in the chance than that, and it turned out to be the case. Devin Haney defeated Jose Ramirez, and Teofimo Lopez, who was, the whole panel had Barboza in a upset, quote unquote, but Teofimo showed out, and Teofimo got the unanimous decision there as well. On Saturday, Canelo Alvarez fought and won a very lackluster fight. Was not exciting at all, but it was a unanimous decision over William Skull. And then finally, Sunday, we had Naoya Inoue, who was the only one that gave us any kind of action after getting knocked down in the second round. The undisputed champion, the 4-division undisputed champion, may I say, came back to TKO Ramon Cardenas in the 8th round and get his and keep his undisputed title. And wow, what a performance it was. So again, we'll get more into that tomorrow night. Y'all make sure you tune in 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. Fatal Fury review. The panel, all of us, 86 Boxing, Skywalker Boxing Media, Papi Chunyeo, Clubber D, the Combat G, and yours truly, the sports professor, will be together. So check us out there tomorrow. Cool. All right. Awesome. That's that for the boxing results. Before we move into the actual playoffs, I do want to give you your MLB power rankings for the week. So Major League Baseball is kicking off into high gear. And you know what I'm upset about? I hadn't talked about the power rankings yet. I had not talked about the power rankings yet, and my Mets were the best team this whole time. Now they've stumbled a little bit in the past week, losing 3 of their last 4, and they have slipped down into second in the power rankings. So now I don't get to be as boisterous as I wanted to, as boastful as I wanted to, but I still love my Mets, and we are still beautiful. The Los Angeles Dodgers are number one in your baseball power rankings, 24 wins, 11 losses. As I mentioned, my New York Metropolitans are in second at 23 wins, 13 losses. The San Diego Padres, number three in your baseball power rankings, 23 wins, 11 losses. The Detroit Tigers say, what? Motor City, baby. Baseball is back and basketball. Woo, Motor City. The Detroit Tigers, 22 wins, 13 losses, and rounding out the top five, those bum-ass Philadelphia Phillies, still hate y'all, 19 wins, 15 losses. Those are your Major League Baseball power rankings for the week. Let's move on to our NBA playoffs. So I'm going to put this on the big screen so y'all can see this very nicely with a bigger view. So here we go. This is what we got as an updated as of today. I told you last week I would give you the updated second round, and here we are, our second round matchups. On the top left, you have in your middle Western Conference here, OKC, the Oklahoma City Thunder, versus the Denver Nuggets. They played last night, and Denver shocked OKC at home. I put shocked in air quotes because it wasn't much of a shock to me. In the below matchup, you see we have the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Golden State Warriors. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. Moving over to your right-hand side, middle column on the Eastern Conference, you'll see that we have the Cleveland Cavaliers, who also lost at home in a shocking, I again put that in air quotes because I think the Pacers are going to win this series. The Pacers beat the Cavaliers at home. And then finally in the bottom right-hand corner, you see my Boston Celtics. Yes, what a horrible, horrible performance by the Boston Celtics last night. I am completely distraught. I am upset. I am baffled and bewildered how you could be up 20 points in the third quarter and give that lead up for the New York Knicks to come all the way back. Now, kudos to the Knicks for playing amazing defense down the stretch, but that was just piss poor. So let's start here with this game, and I'm going to give you my predictions for these rounds, this series of rounds. But let's start with this game because I don't want to linger on it long because I'm still very upset. I went to sleep very upset over this game. So I just need to point out a few things because I still think Boston is going to win this series. It's just going to make this a little harder. Now it has to go 6, possibly 7 games. Boston was up 75-55 in the third quarter, y'all. Celtics have overmatched New York all season long. They're 4-0 in the season. All of a sudden, Jason Tatum, JT, goes cold. He didn't score for, I believe, 13 minutes between the third and fourth quarter. All of a sudden, we're just missing every single three. But for some reason, because we got to be a three-point shooting team or something like that, we keep jacking up three-pointers, putting up so many bricks you could build a damn mansion with. Brunson, meanwhile, Jalen Brunson, everybody knows is a superstar. Jalen Brunson had 11 of 29 of his points in the fourth quarter, and the Celtics had no one else step up until Jalen Brown started to step up near the end of the fourth quarter, which is when it starts to get a little shady. What happens? Down the stretch, Tatum hits a couple threes, thinks he's in the groove, starts to jack up threes, misses like the next 3 or 4 in a row. Then, at one point in time, he went to drive the basketball with an open lane instead of laying the ball out, kicked it out to Al Horford for a 3. Now, granted, the three-pointer was made, thankfully. But that's not what you do, especially if you're missing threes. Take the ball to the basket and make it. Let's move further on to my bigger problem, which is with Coach Joe Mazzulla. I love Coach Joe Mazzulla. Let's get that out of the way. I love this whole team. I love Coach Joe Mazzulla. I think he's one of the best coaches in the league, and the Celtics hallmarks over the years, one of the Celtics hallmarks have been play design and play calling. Always been good. Since Doc Rivers, Brad Stevens, all the way back, even Ime Udoka, and now all of them know how to call last-minute plays out of timeouts, things like that. But here, Mazzulla called 2 horrible plays to end the fourth quarter and to end the game. What did he do at the end of the fourth? End of the fourth quarter, instead of going to maybe JB, who when JT was a little cold, he went to JT. Fine. That's your man. Let him take the last shot. Got it. But the play they ran was to kick it out to him at the three-point line and do his little shimmy shake, which everybody knows is coming at that point in time at least, and then jack up a fadeaway three-pointer, which almost went in but didn't. We need a better play design at that point, but the one in the overtime was even more egregious. In overtime, the play was designed for JB, Jaylen Brown. Great. Try another hand. See if we can have something else. Do not pass the basketball across the court. Why are you inbounding it from one side of the court, throwing it to the other side of the court, hoping that your player is going to make a corner three-pointer? There's so little space on the baseline, between the baseline and the three-point arc on the side, that there's not a lot of space for anyone to make any maneuvers. So if you toss it to him on the baseline at the corner, when he catches the ball, he's not going to have any room to move or shake or get a shot off. Instead, he gets stripped by Mikal Bridges. Game over. We don't even get a shot off. That is piss poor. That is piss poor, and that should not happen at all. At all. And I want to bring myself to a little bit of a bigger screen here for a second. I thank y'all for tuning in. Let me get myself to a bigger screen because I need to talk to the Boston Celtics for a second. Yes, I get it. You are a three-point shooting team. Got it. The best in the league. Awesome. Steph Curry started this revolution. We have him to thank for all of this abundance of three-pointers. First of all, before I get into it, I hate it. I want to go back to hand checking and when we drove the ball to the basket every time, because at least that took skill instead of just popping back. And I'm not saying shooting isn't a skill. I get it. It takes thousands of hours to practice shooting a basketball. I get it. I'm not that great at shooting a basketball. I can make baskets. I can shoot it, but I'm not great. Whatever. I understand it's a skill. But it's not as much skill required in doing that as it is in making moves, driving to the basket, using your strength, using your agility, making either layups or dunks or shots off the back foot, whatever, all of these different decisions that can be made rather than just stepping back and jacking up a three-pointer. And I will admit, as a Celtics fan, I have League Pass. I watch all the games all year long. And I'll admit, as a Celtics fan, when I watched games, I would tune out because they were shooting so many three-pointers. So I'd just be doing work, and I'd be like, oh, well, I guess we're just going to be shooting three-pointers. So I just do some work. Another three by JT. Another three by JB. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm not missing anything. You know what I mean? Like, so I might as well listen to the damn radio. Point is, when you're not on as a three-point shooting team, this happens. The Celtics missed 45 three-point shots. Yes, I repeat, the Celtics missed 45. Jordan came back, hit him with the 4-5. I'm not to play games with you. I'm to aim at you, blow you to smithereens. Take one for your team. A wise man, Sean Carter, once said. 45? 45? Most teams don't even take 45 threes in a game. They missed 45 threes. They took 60. They took, as my headphones fall off of my head in such disappointment, I don't know what's happening here, 60. 6-0. With a money sign. Texas. With a money sign. Shout out Will Ferrell, Saturday Night Live. They also shot 19 on 37 of two-pointers, which means they were making more than 50% of their two-point shots. Please just drive to the basket. Take a jump shot every so often for your boy. Don't give me a heart attack with all these threes, please. After that, they shot 23% from the field and 21% from three after they were up 20. So on that comeback the Knicks had, they shot less than 23%, the Celtics did, from the field. That's horrible. And that's how you blow a game. Yeah, credit to the Knicks for an amazing defensive effort, but horrible, horrible Celtics performance. Horrible. And I am extremely, extremely upset about it. Moving on to the other amazing game last night, though, the Nuggets. Wow, wow, wow. The Nuggets took the Oklahoma City Thunder to overtime and had a game-winning three-pointer by Aaron Gordon. This game was great. It had kept you on the edge of your seat, back and forth till the end. Didn't know what was going to happen. The Nuggets were up for a big portion of the game before the Thunder, had came back. So it was weird when they actually went up double digits and then the Nuggets started coming back, because usually with the Thunder's defense, once they go up, that's usually it. But Jokic, as always, the Joker, phenomenal, amazing, 40 points, 22 rebounds, and 6 assists. I mean, he is one of 4 players in the league to have a 40-point, 20 rebound, 5 assist playoff game. I repeat, he is only the 4th ever, including Giannis Antetokounmpo, Shaquille O'Neal, and the great Wilt Chamberlain also did it. But this came down to some massive mistakes here at the end. 1-point lead. Thunder were inbounding the ball, looking to run some clock, knock some free throws down. The Nuggets didn't have Jokic in the game, but there was a defensive breakdown on the inbound play. SGA got a free dunk, and Denver couldn't stop it. OKC was up 3 with 10 seconds left. But what happens then? They ended up fouling up 3. Now, in the NBA, this is a decision that is either opined very heavily. It's opined very heavily either way, but it's either scrutinized very heavily or it's accepted by the people that are the ones that would employ this sort of strategy. I always have been in the camp that if you don't have a lockdown defense, you foul on that 3. So that way, or you foul when you're up 3, not on a 3, obviously, that would be stupid. You foul when you're up 3, hopefully when they're driving to the basket or trying to shoot a jump shot, so they only get 2 shots, which we'll get to in just a second. But if you have a lockdown defense like the Thunder, you don't need to do that. You don't need to play those sorts of games. Your defense is already good enough. You should be able to lock down a three-point shot, and if they make it, you should at least be able to give a good enough contest that you're okay with the result. But instead, they decided to foul. And I mean, when you do that, you let them get back in the game with a couple made free throws. Then you're going back and forth on the free throws on each side, and then all of a sudden, Brody, UCLA 8 clap, UCLA fight. Kicks it out to Gordon for 3. Shout out Mike Breen. Bang. I'm not going to get copyrighted, but shout out Mike Breen. You know what I mean? And that was it. Game over. Thunder lose at home. Fans go home shocked. If you have a lockdown defense, try to lock them down. Try to lock them down. Don't just foul just because that's what most teams would do. Most teams don't have the best defense in the league like you do. That's embarrassing. It's like you're giving up. Don't do that. Play for the last shot. I mean, defend the last shot, rather. Anyways, we'll see what happens. Again, these series are going to go back and forth. There's no way the Thunder's out of it, and there's no way the Celtics are out of it. Both of them, I feel, could come back. Now, I thought that the Nuggets were going to win this series anyways, because they're the more experienced team and their momentum has not wavered since they got their new coach and got rid of Mike Malone. Actually, with the new coach, I forget his name. They call him DA. I'm trying to think something. I forget his name off the top of my head. Anyways, Dennis something. They like him, so they've been playing well for him. I think I thought the Nuggets were actually going to win this series. So winning at game home, one at game home, is not really a surprise to me. Celtics losing a game home was a surprise, but I still believe and don't think there's any way they do not win this series, even though they just made it a lot harder on themselves. So let me give you a bigger look again at this playoff bracket here. But you'll see again. So I gave you my pick for my Celtics. I believe they're still in. They're still going to win. Excuse me. This series, I believe they're going to win it probably in 6 games now. Now that they gave that up, I do think they will win 4 of the next 5. Indiana and Cleveland. I got Indiana in this. I got Indiana in the upset. I think Cleveland, while a really good team, was not ready. Their young players were not ready for the Pacers' aggressiveness and old man strength. And so I feel the Pacers will win that. Oh, I think it'll come down to I think I'll go to 7 games. As I mentioned, the Minnesota Timberwolves are playing the Golden State Warriors. Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure the Warriors are going to lose this one. They beat the young Rockets last series, which is what an experienced team should do. But the Timberwolves are more experienced, and they're not as young as the Rockets are. I do not believe that the Warriors can outlast them with how old they are, even though Jimmy Butler has re-enlivened them. I've got the Minnesota Timberwolves winning this. We'll go in 6 games, and then finally the Nuggets over the Thunder, as I mentioned, in 7 games. So I'll have a Nuggets Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals, Indiana Pacers, Boston Celtics, Eastern Conference Finals. All right, so those are your NBA playoffs. Now, let us move into our NHL playoffs. Here you go. I have put those up on the screen for you there. So, yes, on the left-hand side, let's start again, is your Western Conference. Move over to that middle column, and you can see how we are updated in our second round. Up here on the top, you have the President's Trophy Cup winning Winnipeg Jets, which means they had the best record in the league. That's the President's Cup Trophy winner. The Winnipeg Jets are playing, the Dallas Stars. So this is going to be a really, really great series here. I'm seeing a 7-game series, and I'm actually seeing the Dallas Stars with an upset here. I believe that Winnipeg, while had a great season, they almost lost to the Blues in the last round and barely escaped on an overtime victory, which, by the way, if you did not see it, was pretty amazing. It came down to the last few minutes of the game. The Winnipeg Jets were down 2 to the St. Louis Blues, scored 2 goals within the last couple minutes of the game, and the last one was scored with only 1.6 seconds left. Yes, the President's Cup Trophy winners of the regular season barely escaped the St. Louis Blues. Wowzers. 1.6 seconds left on the clock. They score a goal to go to overtime. It goes to 2 overtimes before Winnipeg finally moves on with a goal from Adam Lowry, who, by the way, in a twist of events, a turn of events, is actually from St. Louis. So he beat his home team and knocked them out of the playoffs. As for the Stars, pretty crazy how they got there as well. It was a game 7. And if you remember, if you watch the Bottom Line Sports, you'll remember during the season, I talked about a trade that the Colorado Avalanche made when they traded Mikko Rantanen to the Dallas Stars. Well, that seriously came back to haunt them, as Rantanen in the game 7 had a 4-point third period, 3 goals and an assist. Wowzers. It was amazing. He said his team was down 2 goals, and he said, nah, I'm not going to let my old team beat me. They traded me away. They didn't want me no more. Okay, you don't want me? Take this. Take this, sucker, and take that. I ain't gonna say who used to say that because we don't want to take that. No Diddy. Wowzers. He was like, no, I'm gonna come back for my team against my old team, beat his old team that just traded him away. That's a movie Hollywood type script, and the Dallas Stars moved on, beating the Colorado Avalanche in 7 games. looking at this series again, I think that with the Stars beating the Jets in that one, I believe on the lower side of that bracket, you have the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Edmonton Oilers. The Edmonton Oilers actually defeated my Kings. The Kings, very bad showing for my Los Angeles Kings. We were up 1-0 and we got scared and we played scared and we played safe. Had a lead in game 2, played too safe. They came back, won the next 4 games in a row. You gone. Get the hell out, Kings. Vegas Golden Knights versus Edmonton. I think Edmonton carries on that momentum and beats the Golden Knights in a 7-game series. Moving on to your Eastern Conference on the right-hand side, looking at this middle column here, you'll see at the top we got the Toronto Maple Leafs versus the defending champion Florida Panthers. The Florida, hey, Florida is the defending champions, but Toronto has a long drought that they need to erase. And we'll see if Panthers center Sam Bennett will be, suspended for that nasty forearm that he threw at Leafs goalie Anthony Solárez last game. Toronto is up 1-0. I believe Toronto is going to pull the upset, end the drought, and eliminate the defending champion Florida Panthers. I also have this going 7 games. And then finally on the lower right-hand side, while Carolina is the team with the more momentum at this point in time, I cannot sit here in the DMV, in my lovely home of the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia, and go against the Capitals. I would have many people upset at me if I did that. And the Capitals are actually the only DC team I actually care for a little bit. So I'm going to say that the Washington Capitals win this series in, let's say, 6 games, because I already went with 7 in all the other ones. And so we'll see what happens there. Speaking of a DC fan, Amul Madan tuning in. Thank you, my brother. Appreciate you tuning in, man. We need to get together and talk Diddy. I didn't visualize him so bad. That's funny. Yeah. Next time I do a topic on this show about it, I'll try to get you on for that. We're actually going to do a Banter Brawls and Bravado here in a couple weeks. Clubber D, myself, my brother Bajo, and our good friend and MLB insider Mike Wiebe, we're going to do one, and we'll definitely be talking Diddy on that show for sure, amongst a lot of other things, including Shannon Sharp and other situations going on in the world. But yeah, man, that's he needs to get eviscerated. I'd like to hear your comments on that. So thank you for tuning in. Again, everybody who's tuning in, hit that like button for me if you're watching. It is free to you, but invaluable to us. It really helps us out in the algorithm, and I would appreciate it so much if you could hit that like, love, laugh button, a home decor photo, give it to me. He says, good man, I'd come over to your house if you picked against the Caps. Yes, a dedicated Washington Capitals fan. Amul is faux show, and so that's why I'm not going to pick against the Capitals, and we'll go with the Capitals winning that series there. So that is your picks for your NBA and NHL playoffs updated. I will go ahead and make sure when I repurpose this and to throw it back online, I'll give you my picks in writing there. I should have wrote them down. I didn't think that I was going to. Now I feel stupid because now I'm going to have to go back and listen to the whole thing and write down the pick. It takes so much work, y'all. By the way, if I have anything for any of you live streamers, editors out there that need to edit your videos later for repurposing, make sure you have a notepad to keep notes. I always say to do it, and then I never do it, and then I always have to go back and do all the extra work that comes with that. So just don't do it. Just don't be Omar. Omar likes to make things harder on himself sometimes. Yes, my brother. Definitely get you on soon. It's hard now with this show because I just try to do as quick headlines and try to get through things. But I would like to start doing more interviews again. So maybe I'll have to do a secondary show with just kind of news, and we'll see. I'll figure it out. But yeah, we'll definitely get you back on again here in the future. All right. Speaking of more DC news, the NFL draft. President Donald Trump got together with DC Commanders owner Josh Harris, Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser, and they all made the announcement that the NFL draft is officially headed to Washington, D.C. Yes, the announcement was made in the Oval Office in the White House on Monday alongside NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, who was also there. It is a 3-day event that will be held at the most iconic landmarks in DC, including the National Mall, where they'll have the actual stage. It looks awesome. The concepts they're coming out with look amazing. And Pennsylvania Avenue, expected to draw well over a million people. Which will blow the record of 775,000 fans who attended the 2024 in Detroit last year. This comes after news of DC's new $3.8 billion deal to build a new domed stadium on the grounds of the old RFK Stadium. Hallelujah. Resurrect that site for the goodness that it needs to be. As for the draft, I can tell you, I live in Nashville. I was there when they had the draft in Nashville. It was awesome. It wasn't a million people like it'll be in DC, but it was about 500,000 people, probably 500,000 people came out to Nashville to show out, and it was awesome. It was a great, great time. So, I expect this one to be no better, especially because it's going to be surrounding all the iconic landmarks. This is going to be a great time. If you like the NFL, this is a spectacle that you should definitely check out. Moving on in other NFL news. Yeah. Hey, what is your podcast? Promote your podcast, sir. Give us the name so I can tell the people where to check you out at. I did not know you started one. Did not text me to tell me this. But yeah, we're definitely going to have to talk baseball whenever we get together. As you know, my Mets are one of the best teams in the league. Right. All right. Anyways, moving on. Other NFL news. The Ravens, the Baltimore Ravens, other DMV news. Man, a lot of DMV-centric news here today, folks. The Baltimore Ravens have released kicker Justin Tucker. Wow, y'all. We have another Deshaun Watson situation in our hands in the NFL now. To give all fair due to Justin Tucker, as in this great nation of ours, you are innocent until proven guilty. He denies all allegations from any massage therapist, from any massage therapy saloons. Saloons. We're in the old Wild West. Go meet me outside the saloon. Ravens general manager Eric DeCosta maintains that this is a football decision. Quote unquote. Come on now. Justin Tucker has been one of the best kickers in the league for 16 years. All of which is great years with the Ravens. There's no way this is a football decision. Yeah, they drafted a kicker because they knew they was going to get rid of his ass because he was bringing too much heat on the organization. He's innocent until proven guilty, but the claims are similar to the Deshaun Watson claims, where there are 16 massage therapists at least claiming allegations of sexual misconduct against Mr. Tucker during massage therapy appointments. We haven't even seen the end of the Deshaun Watson stuff yet, y'all. We don't even know what's happening with the end of that, y'all. They settled 24 out of the 26 cases, if you remember me saying earlier this year. Actually, no way, they settled one more. It's 25. But there's still one remaining out there. We don't know what's going to happen with that case yet. So now what's going to happen with this case? Crazy, but this is the end for Tucker. You can't imagine any team taking him on after this. His career, a very prestigious career, is over, and he's going to have to retire. And his Hall of Fame prospects, which were for a kicker, good for a kicker. Usually kickers and punters don't make it into the Hall of Fame, but he had a very, very good chance to make it. Now, with these allegations, and again, innocent until proven guilty, they are only allegations, but if these allegations turn out to be true, he can kiss the Hall of Fame goodbye. Other sports news, the WNBA, two massive news bits for the WNBA from this weekend. First of all, they are having a new expansion team. The Golden State Valkyries will be the league's 13th team and first expansion team for the WNBA since 2008. They will add two more expansion franchises next year as well. The Toronto Tempo and an unnamed team to come to Portland. They will also expect to add a 16th team in 2028. This comes after the WNBA has grown in massive ways due to influx of players and personalities that are larger than others have been in the past, and also because of the money, the media rights, all the money influx that's coming. They also use that money to stage a bunch of preseason games at college campuses where they had stars at before to play other teams, including Caitlin Clark going back to Iowa to play the Brazilian national team. I put Brazilian national team play in air quotes because they beat the Brazilian national team by 64 damn points. By 64 damn points. That is not a game. That is a trouncing. That is a pantsing. That is a bamboozling. That's wild. That is a vitriolic, malicious teardown. And I don't know, an embarrassment to me. I don't think if I was Brazil, I would have wanted to fly all the way over here for that. I don't know how much they got paid for that trip, but I wasn't enough for that ass whooping. Let me tell you that much. Because boy, that was an ass whooping. You know what I mean? Woo, 64 points. Holy cannoli. All right, anyways, moving on. Other news in golf. Scotty Scheffler won the CJ Cup. Byron Nelson yesterday. That's not what really is the crazy part because he's one of the best golfers right now finishing. The crazy part is that he finished 31 under par. Yes, 31 under par. He had 253 strokes over the 4 rounds, which is tied for the lowest ever on the PGA Tour. So crazy. He beat the brakes off of everyone in that tournament and won by 8 strokes. Damn, Scotty. You just took the switch out and started whooping them boys, didn't you? Anyways, oh man, yeah, them other golfers didn't stand a damn chance. So anyways, moving on. Sovereignty edges race favorite Journalism to win the 151st Kentucky Derby, but just announced today, Sovereignty will not go for the Triple Crown. Yes, sad to say, Sovereignty is not going to be competing in Baltimore's Preakness Stakes, which was set for May 17th. He will not be competing anymore. Triple Crown is out. No more Sovereignty after today. Also, in hockey news, the NHL New York Islanders will have the first pick in the upcoming 2025 NHL draft. In NBA news, Kenny Atkinson won NBA Coach of the Year, while Sam Presti, I'm blanking on the name for a second, GM Sam Presti of the Oklahoma City Thunder won Executive of the Year in the NBA. And finally, the last note here, in college, Wolverines coach Sharon Moore will be suspended the first 2 games of the season against Central Michigan and Nebraska for deleting text to disgraced staffer Connor Stallions, if you'll remember, from the, I guess it would, what was it called? Not Spygate. What was it called? Damn it. What was it called? Anyways, y'all know what I'm talking about. I forgot what they named it. But the one in college with Michigan, yeah, you know, Clutch. I know you're listening right now. I know you're talking about your team. Anyways, he will be suspended for the first 2 games of the season. All right. About to move it into our entertainment news. But before we do, got to give a happy retirement. Yes, a happy retirement to the great Gregg Popovich. Gregg Popovich, coach of the San Antonio Spurs, is stepping away from coaching. What happened? Unfortunately, back on November 2nd, Coach Pop suffered a stroke and has not coached since. The team did not want him to deal with the rigors of coaching, travel, the stress, and decided it would be better for the 76-year-old to be the team president of basketball operations, which is what he will now transition into so he can work in the front office in management. We have to celebrate Pop as a fellow Air Force veteran. Salute, Pop. Thank you for serving your country. He spent 29 years with the Spurs and has one of the most impeccable coaching resumes of all time. He is definitely up there in the top 5, in the top 3. Some even have put him at number 1, very possibly up there. I can't do that with Red Auerbach being my coach of the Boston Celtics, but I do understand how he could be put up there. Listen to these statistics. Gregg Popovich has 1,422 regular season wins, the most ever. 170 playoff wins, the third most ever, and the most by a coach with only one team. He has 1,592 total wins, playoffs and regular season, most of all time. 5 championships, tied for the third most ever. 22 straight postseason appearances, which is the longest streak ever, and 29 seasons coaching an NBA record as well. Many records there. In his 29 years, there were 303 other coaches that coached in the NBA during his time, and he faced 170 of them. Wow, that is incredible. But the most incredible thing about Gregg Popovich is that he was a man of morals who stood for what he believed in the good of people, believed in the good of humanity and humanity working together and collaborating. He did not believe in divisiveness. He did not believe in racism. He did not believe in hate. He believed in love, togetherness, and just being human to the next person. Yes, he had a gruff exterior. A lot of people, even at first, maybe thought he wasn't very friendly, but it turned out behind the scenes, to the people that he loved and the people that he talked to the most, he was one of the most friendliest and best people that you can know. And I don't know why I said was. He still is. I should not be putting past tense. He's still, thank God, with us and will be the team's president of basketball operations, or as he called it, El Jefe of the San Antonio Spurs going forward. So salute to Gregg Popovich. Y'all tuning in, where do you have Gregg Popovich in your top? Do you have him number 1 as your number 1 coach of all time? Where do you have Gregg Popovich ever in the NBA? Amol, that's like when the OG Dream Team beat folks in 92. That's exactly what it was like. The Iowa Hawkeyes beat the brakes off of, they mollywopped the Brazilian national team. And that's exactly what it was like. Exactly. All right. Again, make sure y'all hit that like button and please smash that subscribe button at Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS on YouTube. You can also follow us on Instagram. Moving into our entertainment portion of the program, we also want to wish a happy retirement to Warren Buffett. Yes, famed investor Warren Buffett will step down as CEO of Berkshire Hathaway by the end of 2025. The 94-year-old made the announcement at the company's annual shareholder meeting, which was referred to, I love it, colloquially as Woodstock of capitalism, which is tremendous. Warren Buffett is going to install Gregg Abel, who is the vice chairman of non-insurance operations, as his replacement. Born and raised in Omaha, Nebraska, Warren Buffett took the lead at Berkshire Hathaway, then a struggling textile company, in 1970. But since then, he has turned it into a wide-ranging conglomerate with shares in over 70 companies, known for his dedication to investing and especially stock. His company has delivered average returns of 20%. That is crazy. That's more than most of the average any stock markets do ever close to that. But they do have 350 billion on hand and need to start investing in other companies. As Warren Buffett has actually gone away from investing over the past 10 years and gone more into the stock portion to build up their wealth of that company. So Berkshire now owns 189 operating businesses, including Geico, Duracell, and Fruit of the Loom, as well as stock holdings in Coca-Cola and Apple. Buffett actually said Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, has made him more money than he's made for Berkshire Hathaway, which is pretty funny. Probably not true, but funny. Excuse me. So, again, very good investor, did very well with money to become one of the richest people in the world, turned a company that was nothing into something, and his patience, his investments, everything turned out, diamonds for him, literally. And so again, I wanted to stress that the S&P, their annual return, with including reinvested dividends during that same time span, was 10.4%. And again, theirs was 20. So 9.5% above the S&P's top average. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Salute to both Gregg Popovich and Warren Buffett. Happy retirement to both of those gentlemen. One final note, though, from Warren Buffett in this same speech, he did say, because we talk about tariffs now in pretty much every episode because we have to give you the fallout of everything that's been happening. But he said that trade should not be used as a weapon, and he is actually opposed to the tariff. So if you want to know what Warren Buffett thought, there you go. Hit that like button for me while I take a swig of my water because I've been talking for a little bit. And make sure you subscribe to Ball and Buds. Moving on. Sean Diddy Combs. Yes, Sean Diddy Combs jury selection. Look at that picture, y'all. Look at that. That's the court artist sketch of Puffy. It actually looks like Puffy, and I'm not surprised with his hair being gray, as he was probably dyeing it that whole entire time with his old ass. But that picture is tremendous. Amul. Before we move on, Amul has his top 3 rankings: Red Auerbach, Phil Jackson, Gregg Popovich. I like that. That is a very good ranking of top 3 coaches of all time. Let's go back to the Gregg Popovich picture while we talk about this. But yes, great rankings there, Amul. Top 3 NBA coaches. I agree with that, actually. I would actually switch Popovich and Phil Jackson, but that's also because I'm a hater of the Bulls and the Lakers. So that's why I'm doing that. Warren will still be around. He's going to be moving into the shadows. Well, yeah, I mean, I never thought that he was going to be completely hands-off. But in terms of who officially is doing day-to-day operations, right? Yeah, it'll not be him. But at 94, hopefully he has a long time to live. But, how much longer is that? You hear how Warren said he might fire all those that were enthusiastic about it. In any company, when you're the leader of a company, you're going to have people that like you and people that don't. There's not a company in the world where every single person in that company likes the owner or likes the boss or likes the CEO. It's just not possible. So I'm sure he understands that. And yeah, I know he wouldn't do that either, but that's funny that he would joke around with that. He had him on there on pins and needles for a second, I bet. Oh, man. Yeah, we got to talk about Diddy. Well, I'm not going to get too into, the eviscerating them right now like we usually do on Banter Brawls and Bravado, but I am going to talk about what is the update here so that you will be prepared for our next episode. Sean Diddy Combs' trial begins today. Jury selection will take place in Manhattan for the hip-hop mogul's trial, which claims 4 women claimed that Sean Diddy Combs sexually abused him. He was arrested last September and charged with racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. If convicted, Sean Diddy Combs could spend decades behind bars. One of the women, as we know, because we talked about it on Banter Brawls and Bravado a bunch, was Cassandra Ventura, better known as Cassie, who he had a 10-year relationship with and who was also caught on camera punching and kicking and dragging in a hotel in 2016. Diddy acknowledges that incident. Obviously, he has no choice. It's on camera, you idiot. You got to acknowledge it. But denies all other allegations against him, which include all of the things from his freak-off parties at his mansion. If you don't know what freak-off means, you probably don't need to, so don't look it up. Anyways, and all the baby oil and all this other nonsense. Jury selection did kick off. He is facing those charges. The 55-year-old has been held without bail. He has also pleaded not guilty, and he also turned down a plea deal last week. So either he really, really, really believes he's innocent. Two, he really, really, really believes that he has enough money in the world to beat the case. Or three, he's really, 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 really guilty and saying, screw it, I'm going out in a blaze of glory and I'm going to fight this. Because, yeah, I could believe two. I could definitely believe two. I definitely believe that he has enough money to get out of this. I definitely believe so. Now, I also believe it's probably too far gone. This has gone way downhill, and there's a lot of people, and probably a lot of people in the shadows, waiting to accuse him of more. So I believe there's a lot of too much mounted evidence against him for him to get out of it. But money makes the world go round, as we know. Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bills, y'all. Shout out to Wu-Tang Clan. So I could see it, but I think it's too much against him. I can't believe he's stupid enough to just go out in a blaze of glory unless he just realizes how screwed he is. So maybe he really thinks he's innocent? He can't think he's innocent, right? I mean, if you've heard the charges, which, again, you can go look them up. They're too graphic for me to say on this program. But allegations look pretty substantial, is all I'm saying. There's a lot there. Where there's smoke, there's fire sometimes, is what is said. Not sometimes, but all the time. Anyways, there are 150 potential jurors that will be questioned by the judge in both legal teams, with the process expected to last 3 days. Opening statements are on May 12th, with the trial expected to last a few weeks. So we will keep you updated on this show. And actually, yeah, I'll bring in a mole here over once the trial gets started here. Once I get back to Nashville at the end of May, I'll bring them on and we'll talk about this here on this show and go through the trial and where they're at as we're going through that. That sounds like a good idea. But that's just an update there on what is happening within that trial. Amul says Diddy's so old he can't remember Mace coming back for like a minute. Hey, shout out to Cameron and Mace. It is what it is. Definitely one of the best podcast live streams out right now. Definitely some hilarious stuff. Yes, please don't search freak offs and baby oil, Gen Z. Y'all know who you are. Yeah, Gen Z or even baby boomers. I don't want my parents or grandparents searching that either. Y'all don't need to know what that is. It's not important. Diddy is going to try to call Weinstein to get bail. Wow. Reaching deep in the ether. Reaching deep into the metaverse. Woo. He's going to need more than that. He's going to need to summon all the ghosts. He's going to need to get Epstein. He's going to need to get everybody to get him out. He going to need all his freak buddies to help him out of this one. He pleaded innocent, though, when he's totally guilty. Yeah, I look, allegations again. We're not going to say anybody is guilty and innocent until proven guilty on this program. But the allegations, the evidence are quite substantial. Is all that I'll say. Definitely, yep. So yeah, we both agree on that, I'm sure. But yeah, that's some crazy stuff going on there. Keep you updated Moving on. The Met Gala was Sunday night was the Met Gala. And what is the Met Gala? Well, it colloquially stands for Metropolitan's Museum of Arts, uh, Fabrics and Textile Wing, the Costume Institute. So that's a long way of saying that's they refer to it as the Met Gala, so they don't have to say all of that crap. Anyways, the Met Gala was first. You just need to know it's Metropolitan Museum of Art. Just know that. The Met Gala was first launched in 1948 as a midnight dinner at New York's luxurious Waldorf Astoria Hotel. But since then, it has become one of the biggest nights of the year in fashion. Each year has a theme. This year was super fine tailoring black style was the theme. It was to uh, accentuate the history. What a great word for a Puerto Rican on a live stream. Accentuate the history of black dandyism and the rise of black fashion. Vogue's editor-in-chief Anna Wintour, who has organized the gala since 1990, was joined this year by co-chairs who change every year: Coleman Domingo, Lewis Hamilton, F1 Ferrari driver, hip-hop art or rap artist. May I say he's not a hip-hop artist; he's a rap artist. Totally different. If you want a distinguishment of hip-hop and rap, come talk to your boy, the Street Professor, and I'll give you the breakdown. But there is a difference. Rap artist ASAP Rocky and hip-hop artist Pharrell Williams. Yes, you can see the difference there. One is hip-hop, one is rap. Pharrell, hip-hop, ASAP Rocky, rap. You can see. You see what I'm saying. There's a lot more elements that go into hip-hop. Breaking, graph, and I'm not saying everyone does all of them. Lyricism, MC, I'm not saying everyone, but Pharrell does most of them. Let's just say that. And LeBron James were all honorary co-chairs. Up to 450 of the most prominent celebrities in pop culture and entertainment were expected to attend. All right. Moving on. Other entertainment news. The Pulitzer Prize winners. Yes, the 2025 Pulitzer Prize winners were announced yesterday. The highest honor, the Public Service Award, was granted to Publica for its Life of the Mother series on the impact of U.S. abortion bans. Now, as I say that, I am going to give you as I always do on this show, as I want to do, give you both sides of the coin. Because obviously, as you know, on these sorts of things like abortion and other issues, there's two sides of the aisle. There's the liberal side, there's the conservative side. And both sides have the way they feel about these certain things. Well, when I read this morning, that ProPublica, which I know is a independent journalistic organization, that they probably were not going to lean very much one way or the other, or if they did, because it was about U.S. abortion bans, that it might be a little to the left, a little liberal. So I was not surprised reading one of my conservative-leaning emails this morning when they actually wrote an article condemning this award, saying that this award only served to perpetuate the ills of abortion and the wrongs of abortion, and how it was not a fully transparent or honest article. Now, they could also be telling a fib as well on their side, so you never know. But that just shows you the dichotomy, the juxtaposition of where people stand on these issues when it comes to very sensitive issues of the sorts. By the way, dichotomy, juxtaposition, another two great words by a Puerto Rican on the live stream TV show. Moving on. Other winners. Washington Post, breaking news for the coverage on July 13th assassination attempt on then presidential candidate Donald Trump. Also, Reuters, Baltimore Banner, and New York Times were awarded for their coverage of the U.S. fentanyl crisis. The New York Times was also awarded coverage for their war in Sudan. Wall Street Journal awarded for a series on Elon Musk. And the Pulitzer Prize for fiction was awarded to James. The book is called James by Percival Everett. And get this, y'all, this book is a reimagining of Mark Twain's Huckleberry Finn. I have got to read this book now. Mark Twain's Huckleberry Finn, as noted, considered one of the greatest fictional literary pieces of our time, has now been reimagined by Percival Everett, and it was awarded a Pulitzer Prize called James. So shout out to them. The nonfiction prize went to The Success of Our Hopeless Cause by Benjamin Nathans, an account of the Soviet Union dissident movement. And finally, just to let y'all know, the Pulitzer is determined by a board of academics and media professionals and is one of the highest distinctions in the United States for journalism, literature, and music. So shout out to those winners there. Moving on. Finally, a little bit of it's not bad news because the outcome actually turned out to be good as people's lives were saved. But there was in Brazil Saturday night a concert. Lady Gaga played a free concert at Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, attended by 2.5 million people. First of all, that is freaking wild that you have 2.5 million people attend a concert. Yeah, I get it's free, but that's crazy. And that's like the whole country. I mean, not really. I'm being facetious, but that's a lot of damn people. It broke Madonna's record for the highest attended by a female artist. Madonna had 1.6 million there, but I believe Madonna's was actually paid for, I believe. I'm not sure. It doesn't actually say. Anyways, although it was free, obviously the city had to pay Gaga to come perform, but that's still crazy. 2.5 million people. But the horrible part about this story, what I was talking about, on Sunday, Brazil's Ministry of Justice and Public Security released a statement saying that there was a plot from a large extremist network to infiltrate the concert and detonate IEDs and bombs to gain, which was gaining notoriety online before and during the concert. So thank God that was thwarted, because I can't even fathom in my mind had something happened and there was a terrorist attack on a concert of 2.5 million people. I do not even want to think about that possibility. That sounds like the most worst, horrible thing that could ever happen. So thank God that they were able to stop that, those terrorists from getting that across. But yeah, y'all, there was almost a terrorist attack on a 2.5 million person attended Lady Gaga concert in Brazil. Some sick people out there, y'all. Sick people. We need to get more help for the mental health. Talked about it at the beginning of the show. We got to start solving the mental health crisis in this country. I know that wasn't in this country, but come on, man. It's all over the world. Amol says, ooh, the Pulitzers. You're going to bring up the WAPO cartoon saga. I did not, but could you please help us out? Give me a little bit more on that. I did hear about this, but I don't know the full story. So I'd like you to hit me up and I'll bring it up to the program now. You need to read Reimagining a Huck. It's good. Waiting on it to be in paperback myself. Okay, so you've read James by Percival Everett already. Okay, cool. I will take your recommendation, my friend. I will definitely be reading and checking up on that. But yeah, let me know what happened with the Washington Post and that cartoon. I'm sure all of the listeners right now would love to know what happened there. And while he's doing that, y'all make sure you hit that like button. Give me a like, give me a laugh, give me a heart, give me a wow, whatever. It really helps us out in that algorithm, boosts us up to other people. It is free to you, but it is so, so, so valuable to me. And I thank you for tuning in. Please, as well, make sure you subscribe to Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS. There is a handy QR code up at the top that you can snap to go and follow all of our social media. All right. Well, Amul will come back to us with that news and we will get back to it. But for now, let's keep it moving into our United States news. Yes, we have to give you our weekly Donald Trump update. So this week is no different with not a lot of news from this past week. First of all, since we were just in the entertainment world, I do want to bring up the some entertainment news that actually has to do with Donald Trump. So what happened? Donald Trump is actually, man, you want to talk about tariff crazy. Our president has gone tariff crazy to the point that he is now putting 100% tariff on movies coming into the United States. The White House had announced. Now they came back later, backtracked, said that Trump still needs to talk to Hollywood executives and find out how they feel about it. But he said that the movie industry is dying very fast in America, and he was authorizing Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer to immediately begin the process of instituting 100% tariff on movies coming into our country from foreign lands. The president said other countries offering filmmaker studios incentives to make movies outside the United States is a national security threat. Now, yeah, I could see that. I could see where portions of that could be considered a national security threat, just because when you're exporting and importing things in and out of countries, that is, sort of thing can happen. But that's what happens all the time with exports and imports anyway. Like with the whole thing of us buying cars from Canada. Technically, none of those cars are Canadians. They're parts that are shipped and exported and imported between Mexico, United States, and Canada in order to build those cars, because it's cheaper to assemble in Mexico and Canada than it is here in the United States. So they just ship the parts and assemble them in different places and so on and so forth. That's how that happens. So, okay, fine. Aside from that, maybe there could be a little bit of a national security threat. And maybe even, to his point, a lot of filmmakers and studios are outsourcing work overseas and filming in Canada and Europe because of lower cost of filming and things like that. So he is also right to a degree there. But the other part you have to look at is that America and Hollywood by far makes the most movies in the whole entire world. And I mean by a surplus of, I think, like 28 billion or something like that. Like, it's very outrageous. Don't quote me on that. I don't actually know that to be the numbers, so no one fact check me on that. But it's a lot of money, more surplus that America ships out movies to other countries than that comes back into ours. Come on now. I know there's some countries, China, Europe, France, India, some other countries that'll make movies that'll be a big hit in America and make a lot of money. But if you think that our movies aren't making a lot more money overseas than vice versa, you are sadly mistaken. And I don't necessarily, while I agree with the tariffs against our enemies, I do not agree with this, because we own the monopoly on movie making, and there's so many movies that are still made here in the United States. I just invested into Brass Knuckles Films, which is Roberto Rodriguez's new film company, where they build a whole studio here in the United States, and I invested into them, hoping that, hey, it's on to that Roberto Rodriguez train. Yeah, I mean, I love his movies. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I don't know that this is the right decision here when it comes to tariffs on movies. And that's exactly what I was saying. Yep, Bollywood, right? Bollywood. There are countries, there are places, there are religions and ethnicities, all sorts of things that make movies different sects that can really be a hit in the United States. And Bollywood is definitely one of those. And so that is a thing. But again, at the same time, America makes way more movies than any other country. It's not even close. So I don't think we really need to worry about anything like that. But to bring back up what you said about the Washington Post with the Pulitzer Prize, to bring that back up, the Washington Post cartoonist Ann Teleniz resigned after she created a cartoon depicting Jeff Bezos, bowing down to Trump. She resigned after Bezos pulled the cartoon, and she won a Pulitzer. Wow. Congrats to her. It is not very often that you stand up to the man and you still come out on top. So salute to her for winning a Pulitzer after standing up to both her boss and the president of the United States. That is some balls, some big cojones. And shout out to that lady for that one. Wow. I'll tell Niaz. Salute to you, because that's not something I would have done. But anyways, yeah, Jeff Bezos obviously being the owner of the Washington Post and all that stuff with the inauguration, him, Zuckerberg, Musk coming, kissing the ring, all that good stuff. Wow, yeah, that sucks. Lost her job after 15, 16 years. Oh, that hurts. Yeah, that hurts. But you know what? She won a Pulitzer, and she will not be hurting for work. There will be a lot of people hunting her down for her services. So salute to her. All right, keep it moving. Other news in the United States, President Donald Trump said on May 4th that he plans to appoint someone to be the new national security advisor within 6 months. Right now, Marco Rubio has been appointed the interim national security advisor. And so you say, what, Omar? What is this? What is going on over here? What happened to our national security advisor, Mike Waltz? Well, you'll also remember on this program, I told you all about how there was the Signal chat, chain between the president and a lot of his administration that turned out to have classified or highly sensitive information on a unsecured chat, even though they still, for some reason, believe it to be secure when they've been told it's not because China and Russia can easily hack into Signal. Doesn't matter if that's like saying Snapchat is secure because the messages disappear. No, you big dummies, it's not secure. China and Russia can easily hack in and get your messages even on Signal. So don't be dumb. Anyways, Pete Hegseth is still using the Signal app, which is craziness to me that anyone would still be using it. But Mike Waltz was fired or let go from his position and moved to an ambassador to the United Nations position. So we'll see who he announces here. But I think the bigger issue here is that a couple weeks before when this happened, Donald Trump has a sycophant by the name of Laura Loomer. Has never had any real presidential experience, cabinet experience, anything like that. Just influencer, an advocate, grassroots. Before she became his right hand, which is kind of crazy that you can go from social media to the president's right hand man without doing much other than supporting him. Maybe I should start doing the same and maybe get a good position. But anyways, she walked in and 2 weeks before, after this incident happened, had 3 people removed from their positions, even though she has no, I guess she has legal recourse because she's Trump's friend, but it just makes no sense to me that we would be having anyone that does not have any experience in these matters making these decisions. But she also was the one, apparently, that gave the word to him to get rid of Mike Waltz. And that's crazy. That is crazy that we can actually have a national security advisor released from his position because of the opinion of someone who's not even in the cabinet. Like, I mean, damn. At least take a majority poll. At least poll the room. See how the rest of the cabinet with experience feels. See how the people that had actually been there feel instead of just some rando, some strange. But what do I know? What do I know? Hey, but keep it moving. The Signal chat was comedy. The Signal chat era was comedy. Yes, comedy of errors is what it was, to be exact. Snapchat isn't secure. Yeah. You must be Gen Z if you're thinking Snapchat is secure. And yes, I know you're joking. I know your sarcasm quite well. By the way, heard you might be the national security chief. Well, I'll tell you one thing, Amul. I would never give up any of our secrets. I know that. I was a good steward of practices when I was in the military and when I was working for the United States government. And I know that I would not do anything like that. I know I would have never gone on any unsecured chat outside of work with any unsecured information. I know that I would have stayed on platforms and devices administered to me by the correct security personnel, let's just say, without having to give too much more away about that sort of thing. But yeah, hey, they want to hire me, they can call me back. I'll come back for that. I had to quit because I was tired of the kind of work I was doing. But if they want to give me that fat paycheck again to come back, I'll let your boy. I'll be there. Anyways, moving on. The Donald Trump administration says that it is going to pay immigrants in the United States $1,000 to. Before I move into this, yeah, yeah. Oh my God. Okay. First of all, let me get through the story first. Trump administration said it is going to pay immigrants in the United States who are here illegally $1,000 if they voluntarily return to their home country as they are pushing their mass deportation agenda forward. The Department of Homeland Security said in a news release Monday that they would also pay for travel assistance and that those people who use the app called CBP Home or Customs Border Patrol Home to tell the government that they plan to return home will be deprioritized for detention and removal by immigration enforcement. They quote, if you are here illegally, self-deportation is the best, safest, and most cost-effective way to leave the United States and avoid arrest. DHS is now offering illegal aliens financial travel assistance and a stipend to return to their home country through the CBP Home app. That was announced by Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Okay. I get why the Trump administration wants to do this. They have very valid reasons because it does take a lot of money to deport people from the country. In order to deport a person from the country, it can take up to $10,000. So you're looking anywhere from 3 to 10 times the amount of what they're offering here. It takes anywhere from, again, 3,000 to 10,000 to deport a person from the United States. So they're offering 1,000, which would enable them to cut hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars in cost of having to deport. Fine. I get where they're coming from. Let me speak directly to any immigrants jumping, watching this program right now. Immigrants, whether you're here legally, illegally, does not matter to me personally. Me personally, I believe everyone in this country is here based off of illegal immigration. It is what it is. You're not a Native American, you came here illegally. Or if you weren't brought here, we should also say, because we cannot forget the ills and wrongs of slavery, obviously. But most people here are illegal immigrants. So that is not what I am here to debate or even debate Scott Jennings about, who on CNN said every alien or immigrant who is here illegally is a criminal. Technically, by the rule of law, he's not incorrect. If you came here illegally, technically you did break the law. Now, yes, that does not make you a criminal in terms of you being a murderer or a rapist or an MS-13 member or whatever. Yes, most of the immigrants, 90%, are good, hardworking people that have never done anything wrong in their whole entire lives. So there is a difference when it actually comes to the human being. But in terms of being here illegally or not, technically, according to the U.S. law, if you're here illegally, you have broken the law and you are technically a criminal. So that's how Trump is able to use the Illegal Aliens Act in order to be able to deport people with such ease and be able to disregard what any of the judges are saying that they need to do. Hold on one second. That's not good. Where'd you go? What's happening here? Why is this happening now? Okay, that doesn't make any sense. Hold on one second. For some reason, my charger stopped working, and I do not want this screen to turn off. So let's see what's top blocking dropping over here. How about that? Oh, there we go. Perfect. All right, we're back in action. Anyways, so let me talk to you, my, I guess, fellow illegal immigrants, because as I said, we are all here illegal. No, but let me talk to any immigrants here. If you are here illegally, and if you are worried about being deported, um, how do I say this? How do I say this? Don't believe what you're being told, okay? Like Flavor Flav said, don't believe the hype. All right. Um, if you really think that because you sign up through this app that you are going to voluntarily go home and you end up voluntarily deporting yourself and you end up spending, you know, whatever time and money and whatever to get home, if you really think that they are going to reimburse you or give you a stipend or even deprioritize you from being detained or arrested, you are sadly mistaken. Horribly mistaken. Please do not believe that. Please do not believe that. They are not going to do any of those sorts of things. They are going to let your ass self-deport yourself home, and then they're going to say sayonara and not give you anything. Now, there is also the chance that you could possibly be arrested and deported anyways. So there's always that. But I can guarantee you the other way is not going to be as they say at all. And you should not believe it because it's not going to happen like that. Oh, they'll pay for you to get home, all right. They're going to pay for you to get home, all right. As my boy Papi Chuneo like to say, the ICE fan's going to be waiting. They're going to take you to the planes, and that's going to be it. That's how they're going to pay for you to get home. Don't believe this. Please don't believe this. Please don't sign up for it. Don't go through the app. Don't do any of these things because it's not going to work out how you think it's going to work out. It's just not. And if you don't like me saying that, that's too damn bad. If you think I'm trying to harbor immigrants or help immigrants because I just said that, well, that's too damn bad. Maybe I am. What I do know is that they're not going to do any of that stuff except pay for them home by shipping their ass home by themselves. Got it? Good. All right. Yeah, probably, definitely. Like and subscribe if you want. You still didn't give us the name of the podcast, though, Mole, so I don't really understand. Want me to jump on? That was in response to. Oh yeah. I definitely had to pause there for a second and figure out how I wanted to word that so I don't get in trouble. I don't want the government coming after me for saying something like that. But I mean, it's true. They're not gonna do that. You really think they're not going to pay? They're not. They're not. It's just not gonna happen. I mean, you believe it if you want. But yeah, hey, if you want to jump on, you're more than welcome to. Let me know. I can shoot you the the link in Facebook or Instagram. I might. Oh yeah, Facebook. Let me know. But I know you can't talk this what I'm talking right now anyway. You're not even allowed to talk what I'm talking right now. You might want to wait till I'm done with this segment. Anyways, President Donald Trump signed an executive order last week. This was actually directing the Department of Justice and Homeland Security to compile a list of sanctuary cities and states within 30 days. The order seeks to identify areas not fully complying with federal immigration laws, and these areas could lose federal funding or face lawsuits if they don't revise their practices. Sanctuary jurisdictions limit the involvement of local police in enforcing federal immigration policies. At least 12 states, including New York and California, and hundreds of cities have statutes prohibiting local law enforcement to some degree from cooperating with federal requests to detain migrants or share information on non-citizens. Advocates say such measures are designed to build trust between immigrant communities and local law enforcement, while the critics say that they allow cities and states to undermine federal authority. The order comes after the Trump administration sued Illinois, Chicago, and Cook County in February over their sanctuary city laws, and after a federal judge last week block the administration from denying funding to such sanctuary cities. And so as you'll know, he's been attacking them for a while. He's been trying to get rid of sanctuary cities and states, including New York, California. Remember with the whole when Eric Adams went down to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring so he could get out of his allegations of his bribery case, which he ended up getting out of because he went to talk to Trump, and now is ending sanctuary cities, or at least trying to end the funding and stuff in New York. Okay, I mean, look, I'm fine for that. That doesn't really, to me, sanctuary cities does kind of seem like we're trying to get around what the system is doing in order to kind of harbor people who are technically illegal in the country. And while as a humanitarian, I agree with it as a person who's doing a neutral news show and has to give you the neutral point of view, well, it doesn't necessarily make sense that there are those places if we don't want that in our country. But again, if President Donald Trump has his way, there will be no immigrants at all in this country. So we'll see what happens and we'll keep you updated. Also, President Donald Trump on Monday ordered new limitations on a form of biological research called gain of function. So you will have heard this from the COVID-19 pandemic. The Donald Trump administration and now not all, but a lot of the other organizations are coming now that Trump is in office behind to say that they believe gain of function, which means that you're basically promulgating. Wow, what an amazing word for a Puerto Rican on a live stream TV show. Promulgating different pathogens and viruses together to try to concoct new strains and new viruses in order to try to defeat them. And that's how allegedly the coronavirus got out of the Wuhan lab. I know that the story originally was the dirty, wet bar when they're selling, fish and whatever. But there's the other side that says no, it was gain of function research done in the lab that the pathogen escaped from the lab. I'm not going to act like I never saw Outbreak. I saw Outbreak. I saw the Ebola monkey escape from the cage and saw the whole United States come down with Ebola. Not the whole United States, but the United States come down. I saw that. I saw that movie. So I can understand how that can happen. And honestly, I'm not, this is not the mind of the professor, so I don't come here to give judgments on stories. But if you're asking me, which I think is more plausible, knowing that during the 2010s, the United States National Institute of Health actually helped fund coronavirus from bats research at the Wuhan Institute through the U.S.-based nonprofit EcoHealth Alliance. So you're telling me that our own National Institute of Health supported 10 years of, or up to 10 years, almost 10 years of gain of function research on coronavirus, and then all of a sudden we get coronavirus in 2020, and you want me to believe it's a bat in a fish market in a wet? Not here to make judgments, just saying. Sounds a little fishy, unintended. You know what I mean? If you ask me, I think it was probably a lab leak. But hey, allegedly. More President Donald Trump administration news, as always. I mean, damn. When I started doing this show, I never thought I would spend an hour every week speaking just about Donald Trump. But every day, he just gives us more and more and more news. Even today, when he met with the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney in the Oval Office, it was a train wreck. It was just downhill, and to the point where he said never say never. When Mark Carney said Canada was not for sale and wouldn't be the 51st state, Donald Trump said never say never. And I started dying first. I started laughing. I was laughing so hard. I was like, of course that's what he's going to say. Why would he say anything else than Donald Trump? But the fact that he would say that after the Canadian Prime Minister just said Canada is never for sale, I'm just like, wow. You cannot make this up. You literally cannot make this stuff up. Now, yeah, Mark Carney, I got to say something for you. I need to look you in the eye, man to man. Yeah, you was giving your little facial expressions, rolling your eyes every time Trump said something. But, and I know you didn't want to get blown up like Zelensky got blown up when he was at the Oval Office. But damn it, man, you ain't even stand up for him at all near the end when he was saying that U.S. Basically supports Canada by $280 billion, which is so off base. It's not even true. Yes, we do have a surplus in our trade with them, sure, but it's not even anywhere close to that much. But you didn't say nothing. You just sat there and took it. You looked like you wanted to speak up, but you never spoke out your little mouth. And that's messed up because you let a whole country down. You should have said something, whether you wanted to end up like Zelensky or not. You should have at least been like, look, we have a deficit to you, but no way are we supported by you. We can support ourselves. That's all you had to say. Trump was saying all he wanted to do was support himself to American made infrastructure and industry. So why couldn't you have said the same thing without offending him? You look like a little punk. That's what you look like. You look like a punk. Anyways, moving on. Harvard University will receive no new federal grants until it meets a series of demands from Trump's administration. The Education Department has announced the action was laid out in a letter to Harvard's president and amounts to a major escalation. The administration previously froze $2.2 billion in federal grants to Harvard, and Trump is pushing to strip the school of its tax-exempt status. It is the Education Department said Harvard will receive no new federal grants until it demonstrates responsible management of the university and satisfies federal demands on a range of subjects. It applies to federal research grants, but not federal financial aid to help students cover tuition and fees. We will get into student aid in just a second. I got something for all you people who have student debt out there. You're going to want to hear this. But first of all, let's start here. Why is this an issue? Well, first of all, the issue really here, and Candace Owens actually came out and said it. I don't think I've agreed with very much Candace Owens has said in the past, but she even came out and said, for being the president of free speech, which Donald Trump is supposed to be, this is completely the opposite. This is denying free speech of a private university because you want to effectively change how they teach and how they do things at these universities. Yes, we all understand most of these universities lean liberal, but with these issues that need to be satisfied, one of them is that there needs to be, and it's not outright said like this, but it infers that more conservative voices need to be involved at these liberal universities. Well, all that sounds like to me a hell of a lot like is DEI. That's all that sounds like to me, DEI. And so if you're President Trump out here trying to get rid of DEI in every single organization, but yet you're trying to install DEI into Harvard because there's not enough conservative voices, that sounds a lot like affirmative action, which you just got rid of for minorities. So minorities can't have affirmative action, but white people can. Conservatives can. I shouldn't even have said Caucasians or white people because obviously you can have conservative voices that aren't. But that's the game that's played here. And again, I think you should have a diversity of voices. I think you should have liberal and conservative voices on every campus. It's what I believe. But private universities can do whatever they want because that's what they are, is private. And yes, you can deny funding from them, but that just, again, makes you look like you're trying to deny free speech, which you've always run on the basis of president of being, and now you're trying to deny. So now there are other obvious issues here. The Israel Hamas Gaza Strip situation obviously affected a lot when they had the Palestinian Israeli protests and things like that on these campuses, which, you know, some students were injured, harassed, other things. That should not happen. I agree with President Trump on that. That should not happen. Schools need to get a hold of that. But don't act like that just happens at Harvard or just happens at that situation. That's happened at Maryland before when I was going there. That happens at every single college campus around the world at some point in time. So let's not act like it's just one school. It's only because Harvard finally stood up and said, we're not going to take this, that the Trump administration decided to levy a more heavy-handed approach. Harvard, I believe, can afford it and isn't going to be affected that much, but we'll obviously we'll see what happens there. Speaking of student aid, yes, this is to all of you who have any student debt out there. I'm sorry to say, Joe Biden administration, they passed the debt relief for student loans. I actually thought that they were going to completely erase those loans. I thought that was the whole point, but as I misunderstood it, it was just a pause in payment, a COVID era pause in March of 2020. And so borrowers who have missed payments for more than 270 days are now going to start getting their debt deducted from your tax refunds, from your wages, and from your government benefits. So there are 42 million of you out there, 42 million Americans with federal student loans. And most of them, over 5 million of them, are in default, meaning at least 270 days behind or more. At least 4 million are in late stage delinquency, 90 plus days behind. And only 1/3 of Americans, 33% with federal loans, have been able to make regular payments. That means 67% of Americans during this pause have not been able to make regular payments. They've been making payments here and there, which means that interest has just been gaining that whole entire time. Now, I'm a jack of all trades. I've done a lot of things in my life. One thing that you probably never even thought I did or would do, I was actually an educational administrator for a college. I am not going to say which college, but I was an educational administrator for a trade school college. And what they did at these trade school colleges, and what they do at most of them, is they get you to come in as a person who's probably not going to go to a university. You're trying to find a trade, a mechanic, a massage therapist, a nurse assistant, medical billing, coding, things of this nature, those sorts of schools that what I'm talking about. I worked at one of those. Basically, what these schools do is they admit you to come into the school knowing that you're going to have to sign a Sally Mae loan or some other type of loan for god-awful 20% or 25% interest, where they know that because you are usually either not going to get into a school, so maybe you don't have enough familial income, low income, maybe no income, maybe you're working to support your college, whatever it is, they know that you can't usually afford it. And they know that you're going to rack up the interest. And they know that you're not going to be able to pay. And they know they're going to ruin your credit score. And they know you're going to default. And they know they're going to make your life a living hell. They know this. They know this. I know because I worked for one of them. And I know because me, being a humanitarian again, having empathy, I felt bad for a lot of these people. So when I was actually administering people into this place, I would actually ask them, because technically we have a finance department that you're supposed to just convince them and then send them to finance to get them signed up. So you're basically convincing these people to do something that they may not be able to afford in the future. And with my conscience, I just couldn't do that. So I would find out as much as possible about their finances in my pre-interview to know, okay, let me see if they can actually afford this or if this is going to put them in peril in their lives. And if I thought that they could afford it, I would go ahead and I would tell them, hey, just to let you know, watch out for these loans. They're very high interest. Make sure you talk with your parents or your significant other or whoever and get good advice. Get an attorney, whatever you need to do that. But if I knew just from looking at their finances that they would not have been able to afford it, I would straight up tell them, hey, this is not a good idea. I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to go into this thinking that you're going to make enough money. But what's going to happen is you're going to sign this loan for god-awful interest. You're going to go through 6 months of this class while you're gaining all this payments and interest that you have to pay back later. Then it's going to take you another 6 months to possibly a year to 2 years. I've seen people wait to find a job that pays you minimum freaking wage so that you're not able to pay the loan back. So I would basically tell them, this is not a good idea. I do not suggest you do this please go talk to your parents. Please go talk to your significant other. Let them know what I told you. And if you still feel like you want to come back, you can, and I will admit you. But I feel like you need to leave now and figure your shit out first. Not your shit. Figure this out. And I know no one else was doing that. I'm pretty sure I was at least there. I was the only one. Other people, they just trying to make a paycheck, which is fine. I mean, but I just couldn't send people to ruin their lives, basically, because it does. It ruins your lives, which brings me to my main point of this conversation. And again, I'm not here to give many judgments, but I did say this last week anyways. In this country, we need to have free education and free healthcare. Free education, free healthcare. We are the damn richest country in the whole world. And the fact that we can't afford free education and can't afford, in quotes, because we can afford with all the damn money we spend on the military industrial complex in this country, we can't afford it. We need free education and free healthcare. If you're saying I'm on my Bernie Sanders shit, then fine. I'm on my Bernie Sanders shit. I ain't trying to be a socialist or whatever you want to call that. What I'm saying is that we have enough money in this country that we should have free education and free healthcare. At least free community college. I'm not saying you got to send them to Harvard for free, but at least community college for free and at least basic healthcare for free. Because if not, all we're doing is hurting ourselves. Because when we don't provide basic necessities for free, like education and healthcare, our people get poorer and stupider and makes our country poorer and stupider, which just makes us have to spend more money on those things. If we cut it off at the head and cut off mental health illness ahead of time, we don't have to worry about putting so much into it later when it's got so exacerbated and worse. You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about? We got to be smarter about this. I say this too many times on this program. United States as the world power, shit rolls uphill. We get everything else from every other country. If we are not properly equipping ourselves, how the hell can we expect to be the world power? We can't. We just need basic things. And that's just basic. Healthcare should be a human right. A human right. Education, more of a luxury. I get. But still, if the Trump administration wants industries to come back to America, we got to start training our people. Because we don't have enough trained people to have industries in America, which is why shit left in the first place. Because we don't have enough smart, talented, and intellectual people to be able to create all of these industries that they want to create. Or enough people willing at that. Anyways, for any of you out there that are worried if you might be in default, please go check your federal student loan status at studentaid.gov. I repeat, studentaid.gov. Defaulted debtors will get an email. You will get an email if you defaulted from the Federal Student Aid Office in the next few weeks. And the subject line will state Education Department's Default Resolution Group. There are options for anyone with loan trouble, including income-driven repayment programs, consolidating loans to prolong repayment, or getting a loan payment pause through forbearance or deferment. Moving on into other educational news, Texas Governor Gregg Abbott, Republican from Texas, signed a $1 billion school voucher bill Saturday, which allocates up to $10,000 annually per child for private education, with disabled students eligible for up to $30,000. The program caps years of Republican advocacy and creates the country's largest voucher system. Rural Republicans and Democrats fought on this measure. The Democrats argue that it diverts crucial funding from public schools while primarily benefiting wealthy families. And yes, it does, obviously. That's not something that the Democrats had to argue, because it's pretty logical that if you are giving money to families for private education, that money is going to go to private schools and not public schools. It's just logical that then private schools will be getting more money than public schools, which is the exact damn opposite of how it needs to be. Because our public schools in this nation are horrible and they need to be better, and our teachers need to be paid more. And all of this gets back to free education and all of that good stuff. But anyways, while I agree the private education students should be able to have vouchers and go to whatever schools they like, I agree with that completely. I also believe that you can't just give that to people for private education. You've got to then give that to every student, because then that's not fair, because then that starts to, again, create a wealth disparity between Caucasians and minorities, because as we know, right, if you're looking at private schools in general, and I don't have the exact statistics on this, I'll have to find them out, but the majority of private school representation in the United States is Caucasian. I don't think I have to go out on a limb to say that. I think that's pretty obvious to anyone. So we cannot just provide, while I agree they should get that, everyone should get it. All children. Why are we not benefiting all children equally? Why are we just benefiting those going to private education, which can only be afforded by some? I mean, hell, my family couldn't even afford private education when I was growing up. And we were middle class. So how do we expect other people to be able to do that? Moving on, Newark Liberty International Airport in New Jersey experienced a bunch of air traffic controlling issues and had hundreds of flight delays this past weekend. United Airlines canceled 35 flights a day up to air traffic controllers. Get this, y'all. For about 90 seconds over the weekend, air traffic controllers lost touch with all planes. I repeat, after all the incidents we've been having at airports this past weekend, for 90 full seconds, 90. If you remember the helicopter crash at DCA about a month ago, where the Army helicopter crashed into the civilian aircraft, that was about, what would they say, 5 seconds of dead air where they couldn't hear each other and where some messages were missed. This is up to 90 seconds that air traffic controllers could not talk to the plane. Luckily, planes were able to see each other and see the radars and stuff, but air traffic control could not talk to them, could not say anything, losing all radar and radio communication. Do you know how horrible that would have been had we had like 100 plane crashes simultaneously? Oh my God, that might have been the worst thing ever. I said the 2.5 million terrorist attack, that they both might be equally horrible. This cannot happen. This cannot happen. And I don't know why there's been such a reduce in staff in air traffic controllers. I know the Trump administration wanted to eliminate DEI, and that has affected some people, so maybe they shouldn't have done that, knowing how short we were already on air traffic controllers. But now we don't have enough young air traffic controllers either to start filling the gaps. So now older people are leaving as well. And now people are leaving that were traumatized by this incident. There were at least 5 employees that took trauma leave following this incident from this past weekend. 5. That's crazy, y'all. We cannot continue to have this happening. I completely trust air travel. My dad flew today to Puerto Rico. Thank God he's safe. I will be flying Thursday with my mother to Puerto Rico. Pray to God that we are safe making it there. But I still trust air travel because it's very safe. And right now you should buy because it's lowest price tickets ever. But if we keep having this stuff happen, I'm going to have to start questioning how much I actually trust this stuff. So anyways, that's crazy. We need to start getting more air traffic control. Wow. Moving on. Hundreds of Texas voters have approved the establishment of a SpaceX city. Star-based Texas, 1.5 square mile coastal area, will operate its own municipality where Elon Musk will put a SpaceX establishment that will allow him, what he wants to do is fly to Mars. So he wants to send people to Mars by 2028, and he is hoping that this area will allow them to test its 400-foot tall Starship, the world's largest and most powerful rocket. So, hey, I guess shout out to Texas. They're star-based. They're going to have a lot of money coming into that area. Maybe it'll turn into like a little alien kind of town or something like that, like from the movie Nope. That would be pretty cool. That was a great movie. Anyways, moving on. Donald Trump has also ordered the reopening, get this, y'all, of Alcatraz. Yes, the jail off of the San Francisco Bay there. which is now one of the most popular tourist destinations, Donald Trump wants to reopen it. He has directed federal agencies, including the DOJ, FBI, and Department of Homeland Security, to rebuild and reopen Alcatraz, which closed in 1963. He says that the most ruthless and violent criminals were housed there, and that's where we were great as a nation when we took crime more seriously and kept the most dangerous criminals far away from the public. The problem with that is the reason that they got rid of Alcatraz in the first place was because it cost too much money to house criminals there. Yes, we housed Al Capone. Yes, it became famous, but it was way too expensive to operate. It cost nearly 3 times the amount to operate the island prison than a normal prison mainland, according to the Federal Bureau of Prisons website. So why would you reopen it just to have a dog and pony show? Just like you wanted to open Guantanamo. All for dog and pony shows. We don't need to do that. We already house the most dangerous criminals in regular prisons. And it's not very often that they escape. And if they do, more the problem of the people working at the jail than it is the problem of the jail itself. I can tell you that for sure. It's more of the people working at the jail, not the jail itself. The jails are built very sturdy. Let me let you know that. Okay? Some people aren't paying attention. Anyways, that's crazy. That's a waste of money as well. Moving on. Starting May 7th. Tomorrow, y'all. Did you get your real ID? I told y'all a couple weeks ago to get your real ID. I told y'all y'all needed to have a real ID, or if you want to fly, you better have a passport or a passport card. I have a passport card. I don't have a license. I don't need a real ID. But if you have a license, don't have a passport, you better get a real ID, or you won't be traveling no damn where, not even domestically. Children under 18 are not required to have a real ID. BT-dub. Cool? All right. Thank y'all for tuning in. One more segment, world news, and we will get you out of here. Mole commented. My bad, I missed that. My podcast is going to be called the AM23 Podcast, launching August or September in conjunction with the 21st anniversary of his column, Ergo Cognito Sum. .net, I believe, is the address there, if I remember correctly. That's wild that I remember Amul's blog address from 20 years ago. But I do love his thoughts, and I read all of his stuff. That covers all things society related, wit, travel, sports, photography, and the like. I added that in there. Check out AM Photography on Instagram. That is Amul's photograph business. And as well, AM23 on Instagram is his regular follow, as he is starting a podcast, AM23. I like it, brother. That's a good name, too. Not today. I have to pack as well. I'm flying out to Puerto Rico on Thursday, and I still have not packed. And I want to fold my my laundry that I just did now while I'm watching the games, so I can pack a little bit tonight and finish up everything tomorrow, because I got to run some errands and go meet some friends tomorrow before I leave. So I definitely want to get mostly packed this evening. So I'll bring you on here in the next few weeks. But yeah, I'm going to be out of here in about the next, probably the next 10 minutes or so. Yep, you too, my brother. Thank you for tuning in as always. I love you all. Anybody who tuned in, make sure that you hit that subscription button on YouTube at Ballin' Buds, BALLANDBUDS, and as well, hit that like button for me if you're watching. It is invaluable to me, and it is free to you. Maybe we should swim. Yeah, well, I mean, you can try to swim to Puerto Rico if you want on Thursday. I will not, mother. I will be flying the plane and taking my chances and praying to God that we make it safely. And if we don't, well, then, guess it was my time to go. I don't know. Y'all know how to bury me. All my friends told you. All right. Anyways, we will be fine. We will be fine, everybody. We will be fine. God will, and we will be fine. All right. Moving on. World news. Let's move it into the final portion of our segment here today, world news. Let's get you caught up on a couple stories here. First of all, the Pope, the conclave starts tomorrow. What is the conclave? The conclave is when they actually vote in the new Pope. So the new Pope, starting tomorrow, they will have votes up to 4 times a day, where there will be 130 up, I think it's 135 of the cardinals from all the continents around the world will gather at the Vatican, voting up to 4 times a day until they come to a conclusion with the majority, 2/3 majority, in order to choose the next pope. They say it's not going to be easy. It's going to take some weeks because these cardinals don't actually know each other. And the Catholic Church is split, y'all. If you're not Catholic, I happen to be Catholic, so I know a lot about this. The Catholic Church is split on Pope Francis. A lot of old school conservative cardinals, popes, Catholic church goers did not appreciate everything Pope Francis did. They liked him because he was the Pope. They respected him because of the Pope. They did not like everything he did, especially the inclusion of, his statements on the LGBT community, on women being priests, on IVF, on other things where he was a little more liberal and lenient. A lot of the old school Catholics do not like that. They want somebody different than him, more like Pope Benedict. On the other side, a lot of the newer Catholics, more liberal side Catholics kind of things, want more of Pope Francis, who was more love everybody should help everybody sort of thing, more kind of like I am, honestly. But, I mean, I do understand why the old school Catholics feel that way, because a lot of them do believe in a lot of the hellfire and brimstone and the, even IVF being bad and obviously abortion being wrong, which I believe in as well, but just things like that. So it's a lot of time it's going to take for people to learn each other here and be able to come up with their vote for a pope. But whenever you see that white smoke billow out of the new chimney, we will then have a new pope. That being said, there was an AI image that was generated this past week of Donald Trump in a pope attire. And while Donald Trump did not generate this image himself, and so while this has nothing, my criticism has nothing to do with him, my criticism has to do with the White House social media account in general. While that image can be circulating the internet, for the White House official account to retweet that image, knowing how many Catholics and Christians in general are in the United States and knowing how many of them voted for Donald Trump, it's not a good look because it does seem like it is a little bit blasphemous. It does seem to make a little bit of a mockery of the PayPal. And I know that Catholic Vote came out today and said that it wasn't, but I guarantee you, had that been done 4 years ago when Joe Biden was in office, I guarantee you Catholic Vote would have came out and excoriated the whole situation. Why? Because Catholic Vote is a conservative-leaning Catholic organization that merges Catholicism with politics. I get the emails every day because I obviously like to see both sides of the aisle, and I want to know how both sides think about certain situations. But also because I was raised Catholic, and I want to know how those sort of people view these issues. I don't agree with them on that, but it is how they see it. So take that for what it is. But they said it wasn't blasphemy, but I can guarantee you, had it been Joe Biden, since they are conservative leaning, they would have gone the other way. And so that's kind of sad because if you know me, you know I believe in separation of religion and state. I do not believe that religious organizations or religious communities should have more power over politics than other groups or organizations. I believe they should have an equal amount of power, sure, but I believe that religion and politics should be separate. Because when you start to involve any religion, just doesn't have to be Catholicism, any religion, into politics, that's when you get these divisions. That's when you start to get a divide because people are more worried about what can they get that's going to benefit them and their people versus what can other people get that's going to harm them because they're not getting it. And that's how that ends up working. That's why I don't like it. But neither here nor there. Just a bad look for the White House account. Mexico has rebuffed a U.S. military intervention plan President Claudia Sheinbaum rejected Trump's push for direct military action against drug cartels. If you didn't hear, President Trump said he wanted to use the U.S. military to get rid of the Mexican drug cartels. Again, President Trump, bro, there are international laws. You cannot just use the military to invade other countries. There's international laws. This is not the 1800s, not the 1500s. You're not the Mongolian Empire. You cannot take over Canada as a 51st state. You cannot invade Greenland, and you cannot take out the Mexican drug cartels just because you feel like it. They are other countries. They're not us. You have no power over them. Please, except tariffs, which clearly you're going to, use all that power. You have no other power. Please stop. Please stop this. Please stop. You're making us look like fools when you say this. Now, do I disagree with them? No. I think Mexico probably should have taken us up on that offer. Because if Trump is going to offer you the most powerful military in the world to get rid of your biggest issue, well, then you'll probably take it. But you also have to look at it from Mexico's side. The cartel does power a lot, including everything in their government, pretty much. So if they're taken out, then what happens? Then Mexico would have to be subservient to the United States. And then what? Is the United States then going to be, oh my God, that's Trump's plan. Holy crap. I just figured it out live on air. That's Trump's plan. Use the military to take out the drug cartels so that Mexico has no other recourse but to become subservient and become the 52nd state. After he's taken over Canada as the 51st state and makes Greenland the 53rd. Oh my God, it's all coming together. Oh, it's all coming together. You heard it here first. Did I just predict the future? Is this what he's trying to do? Oh my God. I think I just predicted the future, y'all. Call me the Simpsons. Anyways, Trump pursues military cooperation and trade negotiations, while maintaining 25% tariffs on Mexican imports. All right. Cool. We got an update here on the Israel-Hamas war. Yes, I told y'all that they were having ceasefire talks. That's over. Israel, the IDF, the Israel's Defense Force, has now recalled over 10,000 troops, and they are looking to pursue a full occupation of the Gaza Strip. And they're looking to move all Palestinians southward. This is crazy, y'all. What happened? First of all, this is mostly due to Yemen and the Houthi rebels out of Yemen. So the Houthi rebels bombed near Israel's main airport, about 75 meters away from Israel's main airport, over the weekend. They sent a bunch of bombs over and did some destruction. And Israel, as you know, Benjamin Netanyahu, prime minister, does not like that. He was like, okay, you want to play games? That's it. We're done with the BS. No more ceasefire. We're going to bomb the hell out of you. But now he says he called up tens of thousands of troops and is now going to end up bombing all of the Gaza Strip, getting rid of all until Hamas is completely and utterly destroyed. And the only thing that can save Hamas now, he says, is if Donald Trump and the President Donald Trump, when he comes over to the Middle East, because if you didn't know, President Donald Trump will be doing a Middle East tour here in the next few weeks where he'll go to some different countries. He says if Hamas does not come to an agreement with the United States on giving up their terrorist plans and Iran doesn't give up their nuclear capabilities, that Israel is going to bomb and not afraid of using a nuclear bomb either. We talked about that last week, against Iran, and also that Israel would bomb the hell out of Gaza until they got rid of Hamas and they would just move all the civilians southward. This is getting freaking crazy, y'all. Again, we cannot have nuclear attacks in other portions of the world because it's just going to end up coming back on us. So we've got to keep an eye on this. We do not know what's going to happen, but right now Israel is not happy, and they are willing to bomb the hell out of everybody in that whole area. So he has promised retaliation expect it in the next week or so here that we're going to see Israel take very heavy armament to the Gaza Strip and possibly to Iran. So, wow, y'all. That's crazy. We obviously do not need that to happen. The Houthis have caused a lot of these issues, and even though we had that successful attack from the signal chat on them, it still hasn't stopped them, nor did I think that it was going to, but it still hasn't stopped them from wanting to attack the United States and other countries in that area. It only seems to have spurred them on more. And finally, one last story here, because if I am going to talk about all the other countries in the world and talk about their shortcomings and things that happen with their wars and their flaws, I have to talk about the United States as well. We made a horrible mistake. Picture this: Sadr, Yemen, last week, a United States airstrike on a migrant detention center left 68 dead and 47 injured. That comes from Yemen's civil defense. The devastated facility reportedly housed approximately 100 African migrants. There is obviously international outrage about this. These were civilians. Excuse me. Oh, bless me. These were civilians. These were not soldiers. These were African civilians, migrants trying to escape the civil wars that are happening into Africa, trying to get into safety. They got into an actual migrant detention center. The International Committee of the Red Cross, who supports the Yemen Red Crescent Society, who was housing these migrants, has condemned the strikes, because this is something you cannot do. And again, if I'm going to condemn the rest of the world for things that they do bad, I will condemn my own United States and my own government for things that they do bad. And this is unthinkable, that the United States would bomb a migrant center that had innocent civilians, no soldiers, and all to say that they were trying to attack Houthi fighters, but prove that there were no Houthi fighters within that detention center. If you're going to do something to attack terrorists, I am all for it as a veteran, or eliminate all terrorist capabilities. But you have to be precisely targeted with your attacks, because if not, stuff like this happens. 115 innocent civilian lives lost because the United States struck the incorrect facility. The U.S. Central Command has claimed that attack, but said that they were trying to again attack the Houthis. But it was later found that there has been no evidence. Will it come out later that maybe there were some there, possibly? But as of now, a week later, there has been no evidence of there being Houthis within that only innocent facility. So that's something we cannot happen as a veteran, as a proud military member, as a proud member of someone who would have actually probably had something to do with that, would have definitely made sure that that was done in the right area. But anyways, that's it for you, boy. I appreciate y'all. Look at that. Yeah, we had up to 50 on the live stream today. Yes, we had up to 50 of y'all, and we have about 35 right now on the live stream. I really, really, really appreciate you all tuning in. As always, I am truly humbled by your support of us here at Ball and Buds. Please make sure, if you're on YouTube, you smash that subscribe button. Also, if you're watching on Facebook, I know a lot of y'all watching from Let's Talk Sports right now. Please go ahead and go to YouTube for me. Subscribe at Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS. You see the T-shirt, you see the logo, you see the QR code. If you scan that handy QR code, it'll take you to all our social medias. Please, again, subscribe at YouTube. And if you're watching on replay as well, hit that like button. Again, it is invaluable to us, helps us so much when you hit that like, love, heart, whatever. I do what I want. Thank you to my producer. Great show. I appreciate that. My producer always helping me out, making sure I am staying on track. And yes, as always, go out, y'all. Be blessed. Be successful. Be kind. Help each other. And as always, spread love the Omar way. Holla. 5,000.
He's with the millions.
that world heavyweight flow. Championship belt wrapped around my waist, yo. I got that Ric Flair figure flow. Slam you on the pavement, that's why they call me Street Pro. Create heat on beat flow. Like Jordan after the second time he three-peated, folks. Get ready, set, let's go. Fight toe to toe, release the flow created by this mic pro. Lights, camera, get low. Action packed, back to back. In fact, this monster will grow. Y'all better let him know. Man with the master plan, and you have no need to know. You came prepared, now get ready for the show.
Sports Professor.